I think that people are drawn to the community of the Grateful Dead, what they give energetically, musically, and that exchange kind of laid the foundation for how to help support other nonprofits and people in our country and in other countries, and supporting many services. So I think that just that expansion that really kind of began with the music and the creation and the love, and the magic really that the musicians share, and that reverberated within their community and the audience, and kept them coming back and building their unique family and establishing like this is our community and how we're going to grow together, have children, work together, co-create on and off stage, and obviously wanting to support other people that are in the community and people that aren't, and share with them the magic that they've experienced.
Except you alone. Gonna leave this broke down palace on my hands and my knees. I will roll, 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 make myself a bed by the water side. In my time, I will roll, roll, roll. In a bed by the waterside, I will lay my head, listening to the river sing sweet songs to rock my soul. Gonna take me, sing me sweet and sleepy, sing me sweet and sleepy, all the way back home. It's a far gone lullaby sung many years ago. Mama, mama, many worlds I've come since I first left home. Going home by the waterside, I will rest my bones, listen to the river sing sweet songs to rock my soul. Going to plant a weeping willow by the banks, green edge, it will grow, grow, grow. Sing a lullaby beside the water. Lovers come and go, the river roll, roll, roll. Fare you well, I love listening to the river sing sweet songs to rock my soul. Do-do-do. If I had a gun for every east that I've drawn, and I could arm a town the size of Abilene, don't you push me, baby, 'cause I'm moaning low. And you know I'm only in it for the gold. All that I am asking for is 10 gold dollars, and I could pay you back with one good hey. You can look around about the wide world over, and you'll never find another honest man. Mouse and deal in the country, sweet Susie. Mouse and deal in the town. Put your gold money where your love is, baby, before you let my deal go down. Don't you push me, baby, 'cause I'm moaning low, and I know a little something you won't ever know. Don't you touch hard liquor, just a cup of cold coffee. Gotta get up in the morning and go. Everybody's bragging and drinking that wine. I can tell the queen of diamonds by the way she shines. Come to daddy on an inside street, and I got no chance of losing this time.
everybody's bragging and drinking that wine. I can tell the queen of diamonds by the way she shines. Come to daddy on an inside street, and I got no chance of losing this time. Well, I got no chance of losing this time. Well, I got no chance of losing this time. Hope y'all are doing good out there on the virtual world. I'm so grateful to be here to celebrate the music of Jerry. I know he's meant a lot to a lot of people. And I'm going to do a little tribute to Old and in the Way here. We tune because we care. All right. Mama said, don't go near that river. Don't be hanging around old Catfish John. Come the morning, I'd always be there, walking in his footsteps in the sweet Delta dawn. Take me back to another morning, to a time so long ago, when the sweet magnolia blossom, cotton fields as white as snow. Catfish John was a river hobo, lived and died by the riverbed. Looking back, I can still remember I was proud to be his friend. But Mama said, don't go near that river. Don't be hanging around old Catfish John. Come the morning, I'd always be there, walking in his footsteps in the sweet Delta dawn. Born a slave in the town of Vicksburg, traded for a chestnut mare. Lord, he never spoke in anger, though his load was hard to bear. But Mama said, don't go near that river. Don't be hanging around old Catfish John. Come the morning, I'd always be there, walking in his footsteps in the sweet Delta dawn. Walking in his footsteps in the sweet Delta dawn. Miss Collins weep, Mrs. Collins moan, to see St. Louis leave his home. Oh, the angels lead him away. Lord, the angels lead him away. They laid him 6 feet under their clay. Oh, the angels lead him away. On Tom shot once and Louis shot two. Shot poor Collins, shot him through and through. the angels lead him away. Yes, the angels lead him away. They lead him 6 feet under the clay. Oh, the angels lead him away. Oh, kind friends, Lord, ain't it hard to see old Collins in a new graveyard? Oh, the angels lead him away. Oh, yes, the angels lead him away. They lead him 6 feet under the clay. Oh, the angels lead him away. Oh, when the people, they heard he was dead, all of the women, they dressed in red. Oh, the angels lead him away. Oh, yes, the angels lead him away. They lead him 6 feet under the clay. Oh, the angels lead him away. Oh, Mrs. Collins weeps, Mrs. Collins mourned to see St. Louis leave his home. Oh, the angels lead him away. Oh, yes, the angels lead him away. They lead him 6 feet under the clay. Oh, the angels lead him away. I said they lead him 6 feet under the clay. Oh, the angels lead him away. That last one, Lewis Collins, I've been doing for quite a while now. In a band called California Kind I play with. I'm actually over at, it's with John Molo and Barry Sless, Pete Sears, and Rob Baracco. We've got some new stuff coming out, and I'm actually here in Michigan over at Molo's place, so that's the background you see. So Censored by the Water, I'm going to do one of my favorite Grateful Dead songs, probably my favorite Hunter lyric, and hope you like it. Fare you well, my honey. Fare you well, my only true one. All the birds that were singing are flown, except you alone. Gonna leave this broke down palace on my hands and my knees. I will roll so much. My name is Katie Skeen. Thank you for everyone who put on this Days Between, and have a great rest of your night.
Hey everybody, Seth Walker here with a little Grateful Dead tale for you. My uncle, my dad's brother, Landon Walker, he was a jazz bass player, and he also was a radio DJ he had a drive time show down in Jacksonville, Florida at WJCT. Real eclectic show. He would all have all these interesting guests, and he also had a blues show and a jazz show. And back in, I guess, the early 90s, he used to send me tapes of his blues show. And gosh, all these guys, T-Bone Walker and Albert Collins and Lightning Hopkins and Brownie and Sonny and Mance Lipscomb really shaped a lot of my influence and exposed me to so many great artists when I was in college. So it was a shock to me when I learned that he had kind of deep ended into the Grateful Dead. Looking back now, I can see why, obviously, because they're such a, improvisational odyssey, and he was always a connoisseur of the herb himself. So I guess it was a perfect fit. But fast forward to probably 1992, he sends my dad an envelope. And in that envelope were 3 tickets to see the Grateful Dead, a bag of mushrooms, and a note saying, Scott, my father, take Seth and these mushrooms and get yourself to Charlotte, North Carolina to go see the Dead. This was 1992, pretty sure. So, my mom, as always being thoughtful, she was like, well, you have an extra ticket. Why don't you invite my friend Al to come with you? And Dad and I were like, okay, all right. So this guy comes on. He was a great concert classical pianist, but let's just say he wasn't like part of our tribe per se. So we go to pick this dude up to go to the Dead show, and it looked like he went to Walmart and bought some kind of a Grateful Dead starter kit. I mean, like little round purple sunglasses, a tie-dye, like a brand new tie-dye stiff t-shirt, some denim jeans, and some like faux Birkenstocks. He was like, ready to go see the Dead, dude. We were like, oh my God, this dude is so square. Anywho, we get to Charlotte. And now, mind you, none of us knew anything about the Dead. We did not know any of their music, nothing. So we were just like wide open. And we get there to the parking lot and realize that the parking lot was actually the show in many ways. God, just the whole scene. Yeah, the fire twirlers and the hippies and the musicians and the dopers and the lifers and the homeless and the just wandering free spirit nature of the whole thing was like. So anyway, we had taken our mushrooms and we were starting to do its thing, and we've miraculously found our way to our seats, and so the Dead start doing this thing, and we're just I mean, we're just careening, you know, just kaleidoscopes of colors. And oh, one detail: Dad and I were taking the mushrooms, but Al, his name was Al, sober as a judge, and he was just like analyzing the whole thing, you know, bumming us out, man. So we were like, okay, Al, peace, bro. We're going to go down to the belly of the beast. So we went down to the floor during space, and we're just, my dad and I are, oh my God, we're just completely enamored and taken with the whole experience. All the twirling patchouli girls and the Jerry's guitar just like bouncing and angling and piercing through our souls. Man, it was incredible. And to trip with my dad, seeing the dead, you know, we're like this, you know, breathing, you know, this shared structure, molecular structure. We are basically the same human being. And listening to the dead, it bonded us together through that music. I don't remember leaving. I don't remember how we found Al again. Any of that. How we got home, I don't remember. But I do remember appreciating that time with my dad, and this was a surprise to us since we didn't know anything about the dead, and you know, just reminded me to be open. You know, when you're looking through, you know, you have to look through a bunch of different lenses and see life differently. Indeed. But I do vow never to look through them through little purple round sunglasses that I bought at Walmart with the Grateful Dead starter kit. That was a good trip.
Way down upon Sycamore Slough, white man sings the blues, selling roses of paper mache and flecks of starlight dew. Swiped a bunch, threw them your way, where hazy moonlight glows. Way down upon lazy river road. Way down upon Shadowfall Ward, end of the avenue. Run high, see in your own backyard, Mama's backyard too. All night long I hear those sweet songs down where the water flows. Way down upon lazy river road. Moonlight waves as hound dogs fade, never quite catch the tune. Stars fall down like buckets of rain. There ain't no standing room. Bright blue boxcars, train by train, clatter where dreams unfold. Way down upon lazy river road. Way down upon Seminole Square, belly of the river town. Call for me and I
This next artist that you're going to hear a song from is Graham Nash. And Graham and Jerry Garcia have a very, very strong, important rock and roll historical connection. Back in late 69, 1970, the Jefferson Airplane, the Grateful Dead, Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young were all hanging out at Wally Heider Recording Studio in San Francisco, making Deja Vu, Working Man's Dead, American Beauty. The Airplane were working on Volunteers. It was a really rich, incredible time. And Graham was recording Teach Your Children. He knew he wanted a pedal steel on that song. Who did he ask? Jerry Garcia, who was hanging out in the studio. One of those guys probably smoking weed in the hallways. And so Jerry came in and laid down the legendary pedal steel part that's in Teach Your Children on Deja Vu. As a thank you gift from Graham to Jerry for doing that part, Graham gave Jerry a 1955 blonde colored Stratocaster guitar, which Jerry later slapped an alligator sticker on, and that's been known as the alligator guitar ever since. For decades, that guitar was nowhere to be found, and just recently, over the last couple of years, it resurfaced and is now in circulation with a deadhead owner who's letting incredible musicians play it. So full circle with all of that. Now leave it to Graham Nash to come up with a song. When I emailed him a few weeks ago and said, hey, do you want to be part of this Days Between celebration? Without hesitation, Graham was in. He gave us this song, which is Chicago, an incredible song that means so much. Leave it to Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young, and particularly Graham Nash, in this time of so much division and so much uncertainty in our country, to try and bring us together with a song like Chicago. Because if we're going to change the world, we need to go out and vote in November, because that is how we will change the world. So ladies and gentlemen, for the Days Between, here's Graham Nash performing Chicago.
So your brother's bound and gagged, and they've chained him to a chair. Won't you please come to Chicago just to sing? In a land that's known as freedom, how can such a thing be fair? Won't you please come to Chicago for the help that we could bring? We can change the world, rearrange the world is dying to get better. Politicians, sit yourself down, there's nothing for you here. Won't you please come to Chicago for a ride? And don't ask Trump to help you, he's gonna turn the other ear. Won't you please come to Chicago, or else join the other side? Come on! We can change the world, rearrange the world is dying. If you believe in justice, if you believe in freedom, let a man live his own life. Some of those regulations, who needs them? Throw them out the door. Somehow people must be free. I hope the day comes soon. Won't you please come to Chicago? Show your face. From the bottom of the ocean to the mountains of the moon. Won't you please come to Chicago? No one else can take your place. We can change the world, yes we can. Rearrange the world is dying. If you believe in justice, if you believe in freedom, let a man live his own damn life. Those regulations, who needs them? Open up the door.
I went to a Rex Foundation benefit. I believe it was at the Marin Civic Auditorium. But then they kept having more benefits. They had them at Greek Theater and many other places. And it was through going to those concerts that you began to realize the Grateful Dead were really doing something profound with the Rex Foundation. I had actually been involved with a lot of nonprofits, so I knew how the nonprofit foundation world worked. Everybody always used to ask the Grateful Dead to do benefit concerts. They came up with a better model for doing that kind of stuff.
So the Rex Foundation is throwing a big doodah for the first week of August between Jerry's birthday and passing, which has, I don't know if you ever heard the song Daze Between, but it was kind of Hunter's last masterpiece, actually. It really was a brilliant song. So it's this period, the first week of August, has become nicknamed by Deadheads as the Daze Between. And I was thinking how appropriate it was that you know, you be part of it because, of course, you were the Ralph Gleason Award winner of, I think, 1990. So you know, you're Rex. You're part of the Rex family. So that
it might have been 89.
Yeah, somewhere. Yeah, I
89, because that's what got me and Jerry back together.
Yep. So, but you know, I've only got, actually, I was reviewing it, and I've got 4 questions for you.
Okay.
So, 4 things that I thought, you know. So you just tell me whatever it is you feel like telling me about these items. Well, the first, of course, is that you met him. I think it was called Sunset Park or something. That's in right. Pennsylvania, a bluegrass thing. I guess you connected because Sandy knew you already. He was with Sandy, or I. So tell me about meeting Jerry, and what do you remember about? I mean, you know, what do you remember about him? The lunk.
Well, to be honest, I don't remember very much from that first meeting, but that was a place called Sunset Park in West Grove, Pennsylvania. There were 2 such parks within 25 miles of each other, where you know, they were about like 4 hours from New York City or New Jersey, where I was, and you could hear bluegrass bands there during the summer, and that was a Bill Monroe show, and that's where we connected. At 64, I'd have to, you know, that place, you know, it doesn't. It finally it stayed in business for a long time.
Oh yeah.
In fact, somebody gave me a piece of wood from the stage. You know, actually, a couple of pieces. I gave one to Del McCurry, but yeah. I don't really actually. I know that there was a lot of jamming or picking in the parking lot there. There was also a lot of Amish people there.
Uh-huh.
And that was in that area. It was right near the Maryland border. And, you know, we'd go down there and hear, you know, Bill Monroe, Flatt and Scruggs, the Stanley Brothers, Reno and Smiley. And they had all those acts there. It's the only place you could really hear them. or one of the few that was within striking distance. So, yeah, I believe he was there with Sandy Rothman.
Yeah, no, that was his big bluegrass tour
Yeah.
of the East.
Now, I heard he auditioned for Bill Monroe and didn't get the job.
Well,
Lucky for Phil and the boys, you know.
yes, yes. Well, you know, it's interesting. I think what it really boiled down to is when it dawned on him that to play professional bluegrass, he was going to have to live in the South. It didn't it wasn't for a San Francisco kid. It just didn't quite ring.
Yeah, he
ring
wrote
right.
it, you know. You know, Bill Monroe started cherry picking the urban pickers as they got interested in that music, which
Yep.
good for him. And what else was I going to say? Yeah, it really wasn't until the following summer, '65, that I drove out to California with Sandy Rothman and David Cohn, who later became a member of Country Joe and the Fish. And that's when I hung out for a couple of weeks in Palo Alto in a house that Eric Thompson, I had met Eric Thompson was my real connection because he had come the prior year, perhaps '64, I think, and stayed at my apartment in New York for a month or two. And we did a lot of playing, and that's how I really got introduced to all those guys.
Right.
Those guys.
So we move forward to 1970, and by now I think are you already at Stinson?
Yeah, I think yes. I think I moved out there in late '69, but it could have been early. Is that when American Beauty was?
Yeah. Yeah, it was recorded around August of '70.
Oh, well, that doesn't. My recollection is I went up to San Francisco to visit a friend, Julie Silber, after I was in a band, Earth Opera. And the last gig they played was in Huntington Beach, and I thought it was in '69, so I don't think and then I came up for this to spend a few days in San Francisco, and we heard that the Jefferson Airplane and the Dead were playing a softball game in Fairfax. And we went down there, and that's when Jerry invited me to play on a session on that album. I mean, maybe it was released in '70, but I recall that being in summer of '69. So I don't think Earth Opera was in existence in 1970.
Well, leaving aside the day,
I'm an old man like you, you know.
Well, the only advantage I have is that I wrote it all down because that's the only hope I had.
I have a pencil here.
Anyway, what do you remember about hearing? Losing Hunter recently, I went to the funeral, and of course it ended as it only could, with everybody singing Ripple, which is, truly as Hornsby said, it's a hymn. Do you remember what your reaction to the song was?
Oh, well, I liked both songs, I was just trying to learn the part, make up a part, I kind of was, I thought they were great songs, but I didn't, I was there I kind of focus on the task at hand usually, and hire me to do, it's like, Bob Dylan came to me for mandolin lessons in 1974 and hung out for 3 days. And during that time, he asked me to produce a TV show. And I said, hey, I'm just here to teach you them. I couldn't focus on anything but mandolin lessons,
One track mind. Okay. At any rate, you were stuck with the Grateful Dead for the rest of your life, just for that, that in particular, that, I mean, it is one of the great songs, and you're very much part of it. So there you go.
Well, a number of years ago, Starbucks came out with a double CD of the Grateful Dead.
Oh yeah.
I was it was, I guess they were selling CDs for a while in their stores, and
yeah,
it was some kind of special deal, I guess they made. And I looked at it, and I noted that I was on the first cut on the first disc and the last cut on the second disc.
There you go. So
Mhm.
you bracket them.
Which is which too.
Do you remember what the other track was? Right now I'm pulling a blank.
Yep.
Oh, right. Of course. Yeah. So your next major adventure with Jerry, of course, was Old and in the Way.
Well, wait, one thing I want to tell you, Dennis.
Please.
Since you're a publicist, you know who got the Dead their first national press?
I know. As a matter of fact, you wrote it up for...
Well, I didn't write it up, but I worked for a guy named Israel G. Young.
Right.
Who operated the Folklore Center in New York City, Greenwich Village. And he wrote a monthly column for Sing Out magazine called Frets and Frails. And after that first trip to Palo Alto in 1965, I came back and told him about the band that were still called the Warlocks. If you go back somewhere September, October of 65 and find Sing Out magazine column called Frets and Frails, you'll say, oh, David Grisman just came back from California and raving about a band that combined bluegrass and rock and roll, the Warlocks, or something to that effect. So
yep.
I was there before you.
That's a long time before me, and I might add that no, I saw that clipping. Somebody actually had Xerox, it was a facsimile. So you've come to the promised land, California, and you're living on the beach, no less.
Yeah.
What was the impetus for Old and in the Way? I guess Jerry just wanted to play some more banjo.
I think Jerry moved there a little after I did.
Right.
And then Pete Rowan moved there, and Pete had never met Jerry. And so I took him up to Jerry's house, and naturally we played some tunes. And naturally they were bluegrass tunes because Pete, had played with Bill Monroe, and I had played with Red Allen and the Kentucky Colonels, and we were all arguably the best bluegrass musicians in Stinson Beat.
I'll bet.
And we had a lot of other similar interests. So we and Jerry immediately said, "Hey, I can get us gigs, man." He really dug playing bluegrass, especially with guys that knew how to play bluegrass.
I saw one Old and in the Way show.
Really?
When you did your one tour back east, and I got to go with Al Aronowitz. I don't know if you ever ran across Al.
Yeah.
But at the Capitol Theater in Passaic.
That's my hometown,
Yep. And because it was Al Aronowitz, we even sat in the owner's balcony. And you had Vassar and
Tex Logan came down,
and another guy,
he lives in New Jersey, and came down and played twin fiddles with Vassar.
It was terrific.
Oh, great. Yeah, I've heard tapes of that. It's a pretty good show.
Yeah, no, it was. I was no expert on bluegrass, but it was a terrific show. You got any particular memories of Old and in the Way? I mean, for starters, somebody just pointed out, we were discussing it, until Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, Old and in the Way's first album was the best-selling bluegrass album of all time.
Well,
that's the folklore.
8 years you could have fooled me, because let's not drudge up.
Yeah, no, okay. Yes. Point taken. God only knows. No, never mind. But let's talk about Old and in the Way. It was.
That's all good, Jerry. That best-selling stuff.
I'm sorry.
That's all credit to Jerry for
Yeah.
the selling part.
It was, you know, it really appeared that you guys had fun with
Well,
it.
we did have fun, and you know, that album was put together 2 years after the band had stopped playing.
Right.
And never played again. Well, to make a long story short, Jerry sensed that I wasn't having fun, which may or may not have been that correct. But you know, Jerry, if it wasn't fun, he, I just maybe I didn't realize how much fun he was having. Put it that way. All right, and I think we both, were at the point where we were ready to do our own thing, and he already had found his more or less own thing with the Dead and his other, his own thing was a lot of things,
Yeah.
and so was mine. But I kind of rolled it all into, my quintet and my tune writing, and I think at the time, I kind of thought that playing bluegrass, or you might even call hippie grass, because when I was playing bluegrass, I was playing with bluegrass professionals who, were from the South, and they were very, it was a stricter, it was a more disciplined thing, even though they weren't schooled musicians in the traditional classical sense, but they were very, you had to get it right. And along the way, it was a lot looser.
Right.
And I thought in general at the time that playing bluegrass was a little regressive for me. I kind of was moving towards where I ultimately went.
Right.
And I also maybe subconsciously realized, and this didn't come from Jerry, but I kind of realized that any band with Jerry would be successful because of him.
Yeah.
And that even though I think, I recognized him as the leader of the band, and he sort of recognized he wanted me to be the leader of the band, but I kind of sort of understood that it was his band because that's, all the people came to see him.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, I kind of regret that. Well, I don't regret it, but I could have kept it going. We could have done that for years, but it didn't happen.
Yeah. I got to say, it did strike me that that period when Olden in the Way, he had Merle, he had Olden in the Way, and he had Grateful Dead. So he was playing like 5 nights a week, which was just about the way he wanted it.
Packed houses. I mean, he could just book the lion's share or the boarding house and it'd be filled up,
Well, I saw that get to the ultimate logic when the Jerry Garcia Band, which was a bar band, and it never was anything but a bar band, sold out Madison Square Garden. And it was like,
it could have been me. I could have been a contender.
The stage, the stage was the size of the Grateful Dead, and the Grateful Dead would use, and the Grateful Dead would fill it up with stuff. And here's this little bitty bar band setup that took about a 16th of the stage. It was just, you're looking at it going, what, but that's Jerry. So various things happened and everybody went their separate ways, and you played with Stefan Grappelli and did a whole bunch of wonderful things. And Jerry, I think, advocated for you to get the Ralph Gleason Award. I guess you probably 89, which was a Rex designation for people who make significant artistic contributions, which you certainly qualified for. And you had a house on, and I'm pulling a blank now. What was the name of that street? Morning Sun. I was going to say Morningside, and I knew that was wrong. On Morning Sun, and it had a nice studio.
I just built the studio. I'd been recording at a place called 1750 Arch Studios in Berkeley, but I discovered I did a film score for a movie called Capone, and was looking for a studio and found that place, and I really liked it. And they went out of business, and they put all the equipment in storage, I mean, they didn't go. The owner was he was the B in IBM. And he had an avant-garde classical label called 1750 Arch Records.
Right.
Operated out of that place. And he decided to move to New York and just packed everything up. And I guess he sold the place or whatever. And it was in storage. And an engineer named Bob Shoemaker was one of the engineers that worked there, kept telling me, hey, I can get you all this equipment. You ought to build a studio, because I was making records. And so he convinced me, and I got all this equipment for, I was paying $250 a month, and so I built a studio, and shortly, I got this award. One day I went to the mailbox and found this large check. And I did a little investigating and found out that actually Jerry and I had run into each other at a Pete Sears session a little before that. And we hadn't talked in 13 years. We hadn't had any contact. And we had a long talk, and everything was cool. And so when I found out that he was behind this award, I called him up and thanked him. And I said, hey, you want to pick sometime? He says, yeah. And he came over one day and walked in the door, and first thing he said is, we should make a record because that'll give us an excuse to get together. And I said, well, I just built a studio and started a record company. He said, great, I'll do it for you. And we just walked downstairs. I hooked up the microphones, and I recorded the first thing, which was like 9 minutes long, kind of free improvisation myself. And I still have that tape.
I was going to say, I don't think I ever heard that.
No, there's a lot of material that the operation won't allow me to put out.
Pity. So how long was it before Decibel showed up?
Not too long after that. In fact, actually, I called him. Well, he had shown up. He had met my son Monroe, and he had just moved from Pennsylvania.
Oh yeah.
For
those not familiar, I'm talking about Decibel, nicknamed Decibel Dave Dennison, who was David's recording engineer and one of the loveliest people I've ever met.
Yeah, and we're still in touch.
Yeah.
And he had come over. Monroe brought him over to the studio, and we had met, and he was looking for work. And so when Jerry came over, and I said, when do you want to get started? Right now. So I set up these microphones. I believe I called him right then and there. And I said, hey Dave, I got a guitar player over here, and we want to make a tape. Can you come over? I didn't tell him who it was. And he came over and just about died, because Jerry and we were both like heroes to his, and particularly Jerry, I'm sure. And so that was the start of that. And then, it was very informal. We just get together. Jerry would call me out of the blue, what are you doing? And he'd be over in 10 minutes. And we did about 8 sessions, just the two of us working through, going through repertoire and writing a couple of tunes, and it was amazing because he'd think of a song and I'd know it, and I'd think of a song. We kind of revisited our musical childhood together, and never played a lot of these songs, but we knew them, and, got a lot of material, and it's very consistently good.
Oh yeah. Oh God.
I
always thought it was the best acoustic playing he ever did, and the vibe. Did you ever give the studio a name?
Dog Studios.
Oh, Dog. Okay. Well, the vibe at Dog Studios was um, just so relaxed and so just this tranquil. You know,
I think it's kind of a musical retreat for him.
yeah.
And we wore headphones and he'd play acoustic guitar. And the secret is the less stuff you have, the bigger it can sound. So I mean it's so big Jerry voice, and he could hear it real well because there weren't a million other things going on. It wasn't an overdub. It was, real, and it got very comfortable. And I kind of was, thinking about it. He was, maybe looser, and I was maybe tighter, but we kind of had a little role reversal. I was trying to accommodate him and be looser, and he was trying to, he would say, let's do another take, And so we got a lot of great material that way. And we were very, it wasn't very hard to evolve into these little arrangements we had. It was just very natural.
Yeah, no, it comes across that way. These are the high points. I want to ask one last question.
Yes, sir.
And that is, of course, one of my favorites. And I don't know how many albums you put out from those sessions. I mean, it went on for years.
That's
on.
Six.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
among the ones that I think people are going to remember, particularly, not least for the stand-up comedy routine in the middle of it, the Hello Stranger, but in part because I think everybody, every deadhead that ever had a child or a grandchild or a friend's children, gave them. I certainly did to my grandchildren, not for kids only.
Mm-hmm.
You want to talk about how that impulse? I'm curious whether you remember it the same way I do. The impulse for making that album.
Well, that was an idea I had because I was thinking about it, and Jerry's such a paternal figure, and I suggested to him. He didn't like that idea. In fact, nobody at my company, maybe Craig liked it, but nobody really wanted to do that, and so I didn't really overly bug him about it, but I thought it was a great idea. And one day, it was a rainy day, and Jerry called me out of the blue. You around? You want to get together? So he was coming over in an hour, and I had a friend hanging out named Bernard Glanspeak. And I said, hey, Bernard, can you go out and find a kid's song, a songbook of children's songs? And he came back with this book, like 2,000 children's songs. And Jerry came over, and I said, hey, Jerry, want to try some of these tunes? And we were looking through it. Oh, Freight Train. Oh, yeah, I know Freight Train. Boom, we recorded Freight Train, Jenny Jenkins. Oh, yeah, that's a good old song. Boom. I mean, the cool thing about it is kids' songs are simple, so we would just knock them off pretty quick. And then he had to go out of town, and we would record, from time to time, and then he'd say, well, you just finish it, do whatever you want to them. And I overdubbed a few things here and there. And
yeah. What I had in mind, just out of just in passing, was that this was at the height of Barney Mania.
Oh yeah.
Remember the purple dinosaur?
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
And it's my understanding that show had a tendency to Bowdlerize and censor some of the older kids' folk songs.
Oh yeah.
And I know it annoyed, he was annoyed by that. So one of the things
he may have thought that's what it was trying to do. Or
you guys were doing something a little more legit.
This is really based on, got to give credit to the New Lost City Ramblers, who made a 10-inch LP around 1958 or 9 called Old Timey Songs for Children. and several of those, you know, like Jenny Jenkins is on there, and several of the other same tunes. But it was an interesting story. And when we finished that album up, and it's an interesting story about the cover. I thought it'd be a great idea if Jerry just did the artwork, you know.
Right.
And, you know, record was finished. I kept bugging him, you know. One day it was over. I said, you know, hey, he went out to his car and brought in a pad and some watercolors. And I swear, he made that whole cover in 10 minutes.
Really?
Yeah. And I mean, it's kind of a masterpiece, you know. I mean,
Oh no, it's a lovely cover.
characters, I mean, especially his drawing of himself. And I stood there and watched him do it. And anyhow, what else was I going to say about that? So we had decided, you know, most of those songs were public domain, practically all of them, you know. So we knew a musician named Peter Welker, who's still around, a really good trumpet player and arranger. And we did Teddy Bear's Picnic, and we decided to have a Dixieland band on it. And he was one of the musicians that I called, and he had a 5-year-old son who was very sick, and shortly thereafter passed away from leukemia. And he was connected with an organization, trying to think of the name, you know, that raised money for kids with terminal illness, you know, trips to Disneyland, whatever, you know. So Jerry and I decided to donate we copyright all the arrangements, and then we decided to donate the publishing money to this organization. And about, I don't know, 10 years later, after this record was released, Craig Miller, my manager, gets a phone call from the heirs to whoever wrote It Ain't Gonna Rain No More, No More, which we used as the last verse, or one of the last verses to the song, There Ain't No Bugs on Me. And they wanted publishing. And then Craig said, well, you know, we donate all that money to dying children. And they didn't care. And just recently, I noticed, I decided to look up, you know, every year, a bunch of tunes go into the public domain. And this past year, that tune went into the public domain, so.
Doesn't go away.
Yeah.
You know, I just remembered there's one obvious last question, and I will stop with this. You conducted Jerry's last recording session just a couple weeks before he died.
You know.
With Blue Yodel #9 for that Dylan Jimmy Rogers tribute album.
Yes.
Got anything you want to say about that?
Yeah, I mean, that was a spur of the moment thing. And let me see if I get this right. He wanted, I had a gig, and he wanted me to hire, well, he had asked John Kahn to play bass on that. And he said, you get the rest. And Joe Craven had just gone on a vacation. So I called George Marsh, who had been in my band previously, great drummer. And he said, get that chick dobro player.
Right.
It was Sally Van Meter. And I called her up. And, you know, I hadn't played with John Kahn for like 22 years. And so that was kind of cool. And, you know, Jerry was a little tired, but, you know, maybe he just got off the road or something, you know.
He had.
You know, I mean, who would have? And we hadn't really done anything in a long time. And he left the studio and he said, "You finish it up. You know, do whatever you want." And you know, a couple of weeks later, he was gone. You know.
Yep.
And John Kahn and I got together and we decided to record kind of like a you know, Jimmy Rogers recorded with Louis Armstrong. He used horns on some of those records. So we thought maybe like New Orleans funeral style, we would have like a little prelude of horns, you know. And then so we assembled a horn section and did that. And then within a year, and we had one reunion. I put a band together. I had a couple of birthday bashes at the Warfield after Jerry died, and I put together Old in the Way Without Jerry. And John played on that gig. But
yes, he did.
And within a year, he was gone.
Yep.
So that was
with Herb Peterson.
Yeah.
Banjo.
I just talked to him the other night.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was a fun night. I remember it well. He was your pal off and on for a long time. You know?
Yeah. No.
Last words.
There'll never be enough. You know, I made a recording a year or two ago. I have a group called the Dog Trio, which of course now we're unemployed, but we made a CD and I wrote a tune and dedicated it to Jerry, called it Spud Boy.
I want to hear that.
I'll play it for you now if you want to hear it.
Put it on, please.
Yeah? Okay.
That'd be great.
I got it set up here in case. Let's see here. I can do this. Well, there's an intro first. I'll play that.
Go right ahead.
I once had a friend named Spud Boy. That was his nickname, Spud Boy. His real name was Jerry Garcia. He was quite adept at a number of instruments. Fortunately, he stayed away from the mandolin, but he played the 5-string banjo, the pedal steel, and the guitar, and he made quite a name for himself and our little band. And this tune is dedicated to him. It's called Spud Boy.
Oh man, I was gonna ask you to say something, but you just did. That's perfect. That's just perfect. So that's out?
Business, Dennis.
That's out?
Oh, yeah, it's been out
Oh,
for 2 years.
I'm on it.
At least a year.
I didn't know, and
Text me your address, we'll get you one.
well, yeah, I like to support musicians. I might just,
Acousticdisc.com.
there you go. I'm on it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Dennis.
very much. Rex thanks you.
Stay well.
I'm sorry?
Stay well.
I will do my very best.
This is a song called Sugary. Red rocks. I like when it smells green. When they come to take you down, when they bring the wagon around, when they come to call on you, drag your poor body down. Just one thing I ask of you, just one thing for me. Please forget you knew my name, my darling, Sugary. Yeah. Shake it, Sugary. Just don't tell them that you know me. Yeah. Shake it, Sugary. Just don't tell them that you know was a cool fool, never could do no wrong. Had everything sewn up tight. How come you lay awake all night long? Yeah, just one thing I ask of you, just one thing for me. Please forget you knew my name, my darling, sugary. Yeah. Shake it, sugary. Just don't tell them that you know me. Yeah. Shake it, sugary. Just don't tell them that you know me. Yeah. You know, in spite of all you gain, you still sat to stand in the pouring rain. Let me sing, Zachy. Sing it. How come you can't get on the run? Just one thing I ask of you, just one thing for me. Please forget you knew my name, my darling, sugary. Sugary, just don't tell her that you know me. Yeah. Sugary, just don't tell her that you know me. Yeah. Just don't tell her that you know me. Yes, y'all. Oh, come on, y'all. What? What?
Hello out there. How you doing? Well, this next song we wanted to play here for this celebration comes from, I guess it was 1995 was the year. The song comes from, is inspired by some of the words that Bob Weir shared with me one day. And it was quite a momentous day, really. We were on tour from Good Homes, opening up for Rat Dog, Bob Weir and Rat Dog, and found ourselves up in New Hampshire. But the morning of show day, word arrived that Jerry Garcia had passed the previous night. And of course, you know, there was, you know, the shock and sadness of that event, and then you know, soon following, you know, uncertainty of what would be happening with the tour. We got word that the tour was going to continue. We got word from Bob, and then I, somewhere along the day, ran into Bob in the hotel lobby. And it was a little uncomfortable and a little awkward, you know, for us, for the band, because, you know, Deadheads were arriving from all over the country and subsequently all over the world to get together and, you know, share that moment. And, you know, Bob's tour became a, you know, focal point, a rallying point, a place where everyone was coming together and gathering. And the show quickly, you know, busted out of the seams of the of the venue, and people were camped out in the parking lots all around. And it became a vigil, candlelit vigil with, you know, people playing the drums, singing songs, and it was really incredible. So during the day, I went to express that the awkwardness of the band. We kind of felt like, you know, maybe we shouldn't play tonight, although we were on the whole tour, opening every show, but it just seemed a little, maybe like we should step aside and let Bob go out there, because, you know, the Deadheads really wanted to see him. So I expressed to Bob, you know, maybe we should not do our set tonight. Let you go out there and meet these folks. And you know what Bob said to me, I'll never forget, and it became the basis of this song a couple months later. He said, you know, no, I want you to go out there and play, and Jerry would want you to go out there and play. So go shine a light for Jerry, and go out and do your set and play a great one for Jerry. And ever gracious as he always was, Bob, and that found its way into this song here.
I'm Greg Eurico, from born and raised in San Francisco, and I should mention this since this is the subject. Um, the neighborhood I grew up, although I didn't know that when I was growing up in San Francisco, is near a place called McLaren Park, about 2 blocks away. And come to find out later that Jerry lived in just the next neighborhood over from me. I didn't know him back then. I ended up, fast forward in the future, playing with the Garcia Band on and off for about 10 years between 1974 and 1984. 75. Keystone, Berkeley, we performed there. It was New Year's Eve. And it was kind of an unusual thing because it was one of those New Year's Eves that, I mean, the Grateful Dead traditionally played, in Oakland at the Civic Auditorium, I think it was called, or for Graham in the city, for Bill Graham. And I forgot what the situation was, but it just wasn't happening that year. And so Garcia, which he always loved to play, I mean, if the Dead wasn't playing, he was playing with his band, the Garcia Band. And we played at the Keystone, and they recorded it. And I remember Mickey came down and sat in, and I think Bob was there too. And it was an interesting night. If I could remember, it was a long time ago. So I have to shake the cobwebs off a little bit. But and the Keystone, by the way, dear friend Freddie Herrera, who owned it, who we lost a couple years ago, unfortunately. He was the owner. He owned that one in San Francisco. There was one in the Peninsula, Palo Alto, Keystone, Palo Alto, I think it was called. And it was just one of those, great nights. That I always had fun playing with Garcia. I mean, he was very pleasant, easy to get along with, and good-natured. Always could strike up a good conversation with him, and I had a blast playing with him and the band. Up in the same community, but I didn't know him then when I was growing up in the city. I met him decades later when Mickey Hart and I used to hang out quite a bit and work on different projects and, musical adventures. And I used to go up to the barn a lot that he had up there in Novato. And that's how I met, Garcia, through him and the rest of the guys. And then I think Ron Tutt was playing, who was Elvis Presley's drummer. And I guess there was some tours and some stuff he had to do with Elvis. And so they called me to go, to play with Garcia. And I remember it was I went up, I think I was living in LA at the time. And I came up to San Francisco. We had an afternoon rehearsal, and the next day we did the gig. I think it was could have been San Rafael, or it may have been one of the Keystone gigs. I don't remember. But, we had a good time. It was, improvising. Many of these are songs everyone, we knew, and we literally just went over them one time. And then the rest is, you hit it when you perform the song. And they were always a little bit different, and, so it was fun. Geez, I forgot the original question. Yeah, I think the original question was that, so that's how I met Garcia, was much later on, not in the neighborhood that we grew up together, which was, he was in the next neighborhood over. And it was through Mickey, through my relationship with Mickey. We started Sly and the Family Stone as a founding member. We started that December of 1966.
Right.
Okay. Most of that body of work was recorded in the first 5-6 years. I left the band in 71, and I kind of took a year off. And then when I, started going out again, performing, getting into doing production and some writing, and then that was during the time period. As a matter of fact, I think Mickey he showed up at my house. And I hadn't formally met him. He just showed up at the house, and he had a gift for me. Like, hi, I'm Mickey. I'd like to get to know you. I want to be your friend or whatever. And it was like that kind of thing. We just kind of looked at each other. I invited him in. And I think it was a cymbal bag or something like that he had. He says, hey, I got something for you. So we hit it off pretty good. We became friends. And then, like I said, that's how I met, hanging up at the barn. There used to be barbecues and parties up there. And I met a lot of the rest of the guys. And then I was asked, I think it was Steve Parrish that had originally called me. And said, do you want to go out with Garcia? And so that ended up being 10-year on and off affair.
So
Sometimes I had production commitments, and I took, as I was saying before, I took Ron Tutt's place. And there were other drummers in between when I couldn't go out, or, whatever the circumstances were. Well, yeah, musically, it was different, but it's music. And I was fortunate to get involved with a lot of different kinds of musical projects. I went out with the Weather Report. I went out, I did a short tour with David Bowie. So musically, they were very different. It was nothing like Sly and the Family Stone, but neither was Weather Report. And they were all fantastic experiences for me, but it's all music. And so, the moments that you're playing are different experiences, there's different material, different songs, and you approach them different. And it's, a band is just that, is a group of people that you're exchanging musical ideas and, playing a certain set of material. It's got a certain vibe and a certain spirit and a certain energy. And Garcia would hit a high energy mark, totally different kinds of music, but like I said, I always enjoyed it. So yeah, one really had nothing to do with the other as far as, music goes, or the material, and even, the performance, and the experience. But it's all music, and music's a powerful thing. There's no borders or boundaries at all. It's all one big language. The song selections, as far as the sets and songs, Jerry would have a list, or just verbalize, this is the set list, this is the songs we're going to do. So he would generate that, and it was his band, and that's, he should have, should have came from, well, if we had a suggestion, I never did. I felt, it was like, this is fine, so I just flowed with it.
cool.
But he would come up with the set list and the order of songs and what we're going to play. And it would be little, sometimes it would be a Dead tune, a Beatles tune, it would be, a Motown tune. It'd be a good mix of things, the things that he was fond of. Well, his approach to music and the music that he played, he was pretty well read musically, and he was very articulate in his selection of his songs. He picked songs he was fond of, and musically he was very melodic. His sound, his texture that he demanded to have on stage wasn't an accident. He just didn't plug into an amp and turn it up. He had his amps worked, and he had very specific things that he wanted to achieve, I believe, when he performed. And that was the kind of the mindset of GD in general, which I actually sat in with them several times with the Grateful Dead on stage. Matter of fact, there was one that they had filmed, I don't think it was the closing of Winterland, but it was the last New Year's Eve at Winterland, and they had recorded that show, and subsequently skip up into the future, they'd put it out as a DVD and CDs of the whole 3-4 hours. It's a long show. I remember, I think Lee Oscar had come up, and we both sat in with the band, and I would do the drum solo thing with Mickey, where he had the Beast on stage and all that, and the group would leave the stage for about a half hour, and Mickey was like a kid in a candy store, you know, he'd play. And he would invite different drummers sometimes. And yeah, it was always a lot of experimenting and improvising and fun going on. The impact I think that Garcia had on the music culture and in society, I mean, you know, it was just like, he was very dedicated and focused on, I think, his music, and that's all he wanted to do. I mean, I don't think he could stand like just being home and chilling. He'd come home from touring with the Dead and immediately book shows to go out with the Garcia Band. So he loved performing, and you could tell, you know. So the music kind of speaks for itself, I think, and the vibe, the spirit that he created, whether it be with the Dead or with his own band, it was big. I mean, you don't have to look for it or anything. It doesn't have to be promoted or, you know, dug deep to find. It was there, you know. It was there, it was obvious, and it was accessible to everybody with, you know, especially just to his fans and people that dug him, because, I mean, I think they liked him because it was the same reason for With the Dead. They would provide a place that you could go to and you could count on what it's going to feel like. The music was almost secondary. It was like, I remember once Jerry saying, you know, he said, why don't, you know, Bill Graham was always amazing. All these people that would come to the Grateful Dead concerts, they never had a hit record, and they outdraw everybody that sold millions of records. You know, Bill Graham would always say this. And when I remember once, I don't know if it was an interview, but Jerry came to the conclusion that we hold church. You know, this is just like going to church. You could go and you could count on having this experience, you know, and you know, it was a musical experience. It was a human experience because you go to the concerts and it was all kinds of people there, you know, and everyone would always have a good time. And it was like this one common thread that weaved through all of it, you know, and I think that's what it was. And it's, and you have to be really dedicated to provide that consistently, you know, and so everybody that worked for them and was aware of that and knew that that was the goal. You know, that's what you had to bring all the time. And to do that, like on a technical, on a physical level, there's, you know, it's a lot of work and there's challenges.
The best thing about the Rex community is how motivated and giving the fans are to worthy causes. They love the music and they want to see the power of the music spread beyond just the stage and the crowd, and really see that virtuous circle give back to people behind the music, people in the community who are doing great work, and even beyond. So I think it's great for people to support Rex and appreciate what it does year round as far as bringing great music and events and activities and bringing people together as a community. But then if they could also understand and learn more about the grantees, that would be an incredible opportunity for them. The Grateful Dead embodies a spirit of giving and community and sort of virtuous circles. And so Rex is all about giving back, and it's really about the community giving back to the community.
that yoke and plow the field around. Gone are the days when the ladies say please. Gently, Jack Jones, won't you come on to me? Brown-eyed women in red grenadine. Bottle was dusty, but the liquor was clean. Sound of the thunder and the rain pouring down. Looks like the old man is getting on. 1920 when he stepped to the bar, drank to the dregs of the whiskey jar. 1930 when the walls caved in, he spent his day making red-eye gin. Brown-eyed women in red grenadine. Bottle was dusty, but the liquor was clean. Sound of the thunder and the rain pouring down. Looks like the old man is getting on. Jones, she was the mother of twins, 2 times over and the rest were sin. Raised 8 boys, only I turned back. Didn't get those lickings at the other one time. Brown-eyed women in red grenadine. Bottle was dusty, but the liquor was clean. Sound of the thunder and the rain pour down. Looks like the old man is getting on. Tumble down shock in Bigfoot County. Snowed so hard that the roof caved in. Lady Jones went to meet her gun. The old man never was the same again. Daddy made the whiskey and he made it well. Cost $2 and it burned like hell. I cut the hickory just to fire that still. Drink a bottle down and you're ready to kill. Brown-eyed women in red grenadine. Bottle was dusty, but the liquor was clean. Sound of the thunder and the rain pour down. Looks like the old man getting on. Gone are the days when the ox fall down. Pick up that yoke and plow the field around. Gone are the days when the ladies say please. Gently, Jack Jones, won't you come on to me? Brown-eyed women in red grenadine. Bottle was dusty, but tone. Beg, steal, or borrow 2 nickels or a dime. Call me on the phone. I'll meet you at Alamo Mission. We can say our prayers. Holy Ghost and the Virgin Mother will heal us. Kneel there in the midnight, 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 midnight. In the moonlight, midnight, moonlight, midnight, moonlight. You ever feel sorrow for love that you have wrong? There's no hope for tomorrow in the setting of the sun. The ocean is howling, all the things that might have been. Last come on a sunrise will be the brightest that you've ever seen. Moonlight, midnight, moonlight, midnight, moonlight. In the midnight, midnight, moonlight, midnight, moonlight. down in San Antone. Beg, steal, or borrow 2 nickels or a dime. Call me on the phone. I'll meet you at Alamo Mission. We can say our prayers. The Holy Ghost and the Virgin Mother will heal us as we kneel there. Moonlight, midnight. Moonlight, midnight, moonlight, moonlight, midnight, moonlight, midnight, moonlight, moonlight, midnight, moonlight, midnight, moonlight. Stop that train, I'm leaving. Stop that train, I'm leaving. Stop that train, I'm leaving. Won't be too long, whether I'm right or wrong. Won't be too long, whether I'm right or wrong. All my good life I've been a lonely man, trying to do the very best I can. All my good life I've tried my very best, can't seem to find no happiness. So I say, stop that train, I'm leaving. Stop that train, I'm leaving. Stop that train, I'm leaving. Won't be too long, whether I'm right or wrong. Won't be too long, whether I'm right or wrong. seem to find no food at all. Stop that train, I'm leaving. Stop that train, I'm leaving. Stop that train, I'm leaving. Won't be too long, whether I'm right or wrong. Won't be too long, whether I'm right or wrong.
Happy to be here. Thanks to the boys here for having me. stone back to a bottle. I'm sorry. All that pouring rain, Lord, but not a drop on me. Test me, test me, test me, test me. Why don't you arrest me? Throw me to the jailhouse, Lord, until the sun goes down. Sun goes down. I had to move, really had to move. That's why I am on my bed to leave. Bertha, don't you come around here anymore. I had to move, really had to move. That's why I am on my bed to leave. Bertha, don't you come around here anymore. Anymore.
David Hildago. Steve it up.
Berlin, up here in Kentucky.
Steve Berlin.
Multiple instruments.
Here's one that Jerry liked to sing. You got a smile so bright, you know you could have been a candle. I'm holding you so tight, you know you could have been a handle. The way you swept me off my feet, you know you could have been a broom, yeah. Baby, you're so sweet. You know you could have been some perfume. Well, you could have been anything that you wanted to. And I can tell the way you do the things you do. The way you do the things you do. As pretty as you are, you know you could have been a flower. If good looks for a minute, you make me wanna last an hour. The way you stole my heart, you know you could have been a cool crook. Baby, you're so smart, you know you could have been a school book. Well, you could have been anything that you wanted to. And I can tell the way you do the things you do. The way you do the things you do. You make my life so rich. You know you could have been some money. Baby, you're so sweet. You know you could have been some honey. Well, you could have been anything that you wanted to. But I can tell the way you do the things you do. 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 We'd like to invite our friend Scott Law out to come play some music with us. And like to put out a happy birthday wish to our departed friend Jerry Garcia. Right outside this lazy summer home, wondering where the solar critic gone. Right outside the lazy gate, winter summer home, wondering where the nut-thatch winters rings up my lawn. Just carry bird away. Scott Lowe, everybody. Happy birthday, Jerry.
headlight on a northbound train. Well, I wish I was headlight on a northbound train, yeah. So watch out my life through Colorado. I know you're right, gonna miss me when I'm gone. I know you're right, gonna miss me when I'm gone. Gonna miss you, baby, rolling in your arms.
Thanks a lot, everybody. Thanks for making such an amazing event year in year. Give it up for all the artists that made all this possible.
Stay close with the gold of sunshine, and my tunes were played on the harp unstrung. Would you hear my voice come through the music? Would you hold it near as it were your own? It's a hand-me-down. The thoughts are holding, perhaps they're better left unsung. I don't know, don't really care. Let there be songs to fill the air, rippling still water, where there is no cost, no wind to blow. Reach out your hand if your cup be empty. If your cup is full, may it be again. Let it be known there is a fountain that was not made by the hands of man. There is a road, no simple highway between the dawn and the dark of night. And if you go, no one may follow. That path is for your steps alone. Rippling still waters, where there is no pebble tossed, no wind to blow. You will choose to lead, must follow. And if you fall alone. If you should stand